Hope you're having better weather than I am. It's pretty crappy rainy today, so in eastern Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. So you'll have to bear with me. I am not a very good techie person, so let's see here.
Are you saying you haven't had a lot of practice this year so far?
I am not.
It's shocking.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see here.
Let me know if you need any help. Are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, let's see here. Oops. Okay. Back out here. Okay. All right.
You can see the share screen button on the bottom of your screen, right?
Yes, I can right here.
Perfect, okay.
I'm pushing it. There, can you see that now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
There we
Excellent. Go. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so today I've been asked to talk to you about apps, and more importantly about the citizen science apps that are out there. And there is a bunch. I mean, I went out there just to kind of get a feeling of, you know, what else is out there. I mean, I use a lot in my day-to-day programming here at the zoo. We have quite a bit that we use for our bio blitzes and our prairie conservation work and stuff that we do here, not only at the Wildlife Safari Park, but also here at the zoo. And when I've been asked to kind of say, hey, why don't you come in and take a look and give us some more ideas about some other apps, I went out there and there's just a Google of lots of other apps. So I went ahead and selected about 19 apps that I thought would be a good representation of some apps for citizen science work here in Nebraska. And then kind of even narrowed it down even more so that it would give a good representation of some things that maybe you didn't know that were out there. So I thought we could go through some special ones out there. And just to kind of give you a rundown of who I am an education program manager. I've been here at the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo now for about 6 years. And I've been working in citizen science for about that amount of time. We've been working with the bio blitzes, City Nature Challenges, and been with the City Nature Challenge since about the inception of it, and working with the bio blitzes out at the Wildlife Safari Park. So we've been using the iNaturalists app, which I think a lot of people have been using as well. So I think that's probably the most popular app for citizen science, along with Ebird. I think a lot of people are very familiar with those apps as well. So that's just a little bit of background on me. So truth be told, as everybody knows, those apps are so darn handy. I mean, it's so nice to be able to take a cell phone out in the field and be able to point and click. To be able to filter through those nice field guides that are at your fingertips and be able to look at all the different pictures of birds or pictures of butterflies or pictures of bees and be able to narrow down your choices and not have to leaf through pages and pages of things. To be able to look at a GPS location right then and there. And it's all on one device, which I think is what everybody loves to have. You're not having to log all these Pelican cases out with you and open all this and have to worry about all of the equipment that you have to lug into the field. So, you know, these wonderful and valuable tools that these apps provide for us. But on that same note, they are liabilities. When you have your guests bring out these cell phones, they can get broken, You're tromping through water. They can get lost in water. They can get soaked. They can get anything. And here at the safari park, you can kind of see that our bears, well, she got a car for her 16th birthday, so she may, want to have her cell phone and may take your cell phone for her personal possession too. So that's just kind of a joke there. But so that's some liabilities. And then, like I told you before, there's so many apps out there. Which one is the right app for you? Do you go with Ebird because that is all the birds? Or do you go with iNaturalists because it has, the most logs on it? Do you go with a specific amphibian one because it's especially for frogs? Or do you go with the monarch one? So, today I think we're going to look at some and give you guys some ideas of how you go about selecting those apps. Another thing that you might consider too is your audience. There's some specifics to age groups. Some of them, like iNaturalist has a limit. You have to be 13 years old or older to have an account on iNaturalist. And then I come into some situations where we're teaching some of our senior groups, and technology is not always the best knowledge in cell phones. So knowing your audience and knowing what apps are going to be the easiest. I know I've gone on a couple apps, and you really have to jump through some hoops to be able to download some information, to be able to go through the account process. So being able to have the right app for the right audience is always a good idea to know what you're going to be in for. So here are the 18 apps that I kind of chose to kind of highlight today for you. And I alongside, you can see that I kind of went with just the Apple ones. These all have Android except for one. And you can see that the ones in the light green, iNaturalists, the Midwest Invasive Species Information Network, Nature's Notebook, Globe Observation, and Seek. Those are all multi-species, multi-functioning multi-species kind of application. Leaf Snap and Tree are all going to be specific to trees. Ebird and Project Feeder Watch is specific to birds. And then you've got the Bumblebee Watch, and Insight Citizen Science is specific to bees. The Herp Mapper is going to be your amphibian and herpetology. Spider Spotter is a good one for your spiders, and Erudus Bark Beetle, that one is going to be for the insects, so that's going to be your grays. Monarch SOS is the butterfly, and then the ones in the light blue, the Loss of Night, Open Litter Map, Earth Challenge, and Icy Change. Those are a multi-functioning that have to do with a lot with climate change and have a multi-function. So you can do different types of applications on that one. So for instance, the Icy Change works with weather and climate. The Earth Challenge, the Earth Day 2020, you can get on there and they have a different challenge about every quarter. So that's kind of a different kind of a citizen science project. And then the Loss of Night is a light pollution one. And the Open Litter Map, it maps litter. So you can go around and capture where there's litter, and it'll actually map in your community. And then community members can get on and look at where the highest concentration of litter is in your area. And then can be a source so that they can alert different types of areas, can be like a community cleanup, and can do things like that. So that's kind of an interesting, so that's where I kind of mapped. I took samples of each one for us to talk about today. And you can see that I actually was so fascinated with this. I actually put 8 of these on my phone, so that I'm actually invested in 8 of these on my phone and have an account and are actually going to be doing these and actually have these active on my phone right now. So these all have general features in all of them. They're all free. They're all really easy to use. They're all easy to download. They all have a camera. They all have a GPS function, and they're all available on Apple and Android. So that's a nice general guidelines for all of these. So we'll get going into the iNaturalists, which I think everybody is very familiar with. They should be. They have 52 million observations. They've identified over 301,000 species. They do plants, animals, and insects. I mean, if anybody's done a BioBlitz, you know that iNaturalist is one of the ones that everybody recommends putting on your phone. I know I've got this one on my phone, but this has some specifics like we talked about. You have to be 13 years old or older to have this account. So this puts a limit, you know, if you're younger than that, or if you're in grade school, you really can't have an account on this. And so doing a BioBlitz or having, you know, your brownie groups being involved in a BioBlitz, you know, you're going to have to make arrangements on how you're going to accommodate those younger citizen scientists and doing, you know, conservation work. Involving a situation when you're doing identifications. And so, you know, how do you work around that? And there's some other apps to do that. It helps ID species. And then if you can't identify the species, you have a way of having experts help you to ID it. You know, the experts can get on and give you that opportunity to say, you know, I believe that this might be what you're looking for. And so that's an excellent way. I know I've had several times where I have absolutely no idea what this is, especially with many of the plants. And I've had some great experts come on and help me ID those and help me to learn. And that's the great thing about this is I have learned so much about the plant life that we have here in Nebraska because I've had some great experts get on and help me to learn about it. It is international, not completely global, but it is international. And then there is registration required through the account. You do have to have an account so that they can verify your age. So that's iNaturalist. Now going along with iNaturalist, they offer the seek function. And this is where you can have those kids that are younger than 13 years of age. And so what I could find out is that you have to be at least 6 years old to have a seek account. But they actually encourage you to be a family on this one. And have a family registration. And this goes more along with the Pokemon Go. They really encourage you to go out and earn badges and be a family and learn more about the environment. And it's not more like an iNaturalist. You're not going to be uploading a lot. You're not going to be doing a lot with the GPS function. You're going to be really more learning about IDing it and then learning about that life cycle and what it's doing in the environment rather than IDing it and putting it in a GPS function for the rest of the community and the rest of the scientists. So that's a little bit more of what Seek is and more of a family-friendly function to this application. And then Nature's Notebook. I like Nature's Notebook. It's, I would say, more from what I've been having, and a lot of people may have different opinions on Nature's Notebook. I think there's a little bit more hoops to jump through to get to putting in your data. I do the lilac function on this one when you do the lilac tracking in the spring. So when you can do identifying when your lilacs are blooming. But you really have a lot of cumbersome information to put in. And I think sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult for people who are less techie to get in there and put this information in. Their registration is required. Some training is involved because identifying the buds in the blooming, but they have different projects on this one. And so you have to determine what kind of projects you want to be involved on this. I do think you have to be a little bit older on this to be able to really kind of understand the functionality and getting into some of the, like I said, the techie part of it. But I do like it. Nature's Notebook does have some really good options on that. I just think that you have to be a little bit older to understand some of it. Now, now this is coming from me as an opinion. I think maybe some other people may have some different opinions on it, but I really like it to do the lilac tracking. Globe Observer is another one that I do have also on my phone. It's a multi-project. It does have a registration required. It is a partner with NASA, and this is a weather and climate condition. It measures cloud cover. It has a mosquito habitat, a land cover, and tree cover. It is easy to use, but once again, there's a lot of setup involved in this one. So it's not just something that you can go out and do right away. I would say that it's something that you're going to really have to do a little bit of a setup function on this and a little bit of training involved before you can go out really and start using it. There is 26,000 observers on this in 80 countries, and so it is definitely something that I think if you are a person who really wants to do a lot with weather and climate condition, to get involved in a Globe Observer, but it does have a little bit of setup to be involved in this. Tree Snap. This is a tree tagging database. This is something that won't ID trees for you, but it will help you to identify them. It helps, there are specific trees that really these scientists are looking for, but once these trees are identified, they're tagged, and then they're looking for specific trees that are healthy, and they're tagged in the environment and the GPSs, and so it encrypts the location of the trees, so scientists can get a better idea of how these trees are doing in the natural environment. I would say this is probably, trees are probably for a little bit older students and older adults. I think it's also going to be a lot harder to ID trees in the winter months and in the spring, early springtime. And so this might be a little bit harder to do in our time of the year. Probably late spring, summer, and early fall would probably be an easier time to start this kind of citizen science project. But another one to really kind of focus on, especially if you're doing some trees, especially I know that the Girl Scouts have a tree badge that might be a good one to do this particular app with. Ebird is a very popular one for birders. It does observational data, not only that, but recording data, migration data. It tracks your birds list. Not uncommon for like the iNaturalist one, where it keeps track of all of your observations. This one keeps track of all your birds that you have also identified. I like the idea of being able to record your bird songs. That's a nice option on that one. It gives you access to maps and graphs, and it has a great community connection to you. This is if you are a birder, this is definitely the app that you want to have. I mean, this is connects you to all over the world. The Ebird is definitely the app that you want to be connecting with.
And Pam, just about 3 minutes left, and then we'll save the rest.
So we have Bumblebee Watch. This one won't identify bumblebees, but it will teach you how to identify bumblebees. I think that this is a little bit trickier because photographing bees are a little bit harder, but I think this is a wonderful idea for those of you that are interested in bumblebees. Another one is the Herb Mapper for amphibians and frogs. And reptiles. This one is got a lot of state partners, but definitely has recording and observational data as well. Spider Spotter, this is a fun one. They give you a PDF that gives you, as you can see here, that has coloration and also gives you an idea so that you can start measuring the spiders as well, which I think is an awesome idea. And IDs the spiders for you and gives you a way to distinguish them. And it's new to the United States. They've been doing this over in Europe for a long time, and they brought it over to the United States. I think this is a fantastic way to get people that are very afraid of spiders interested in spiders. So I think this is a great one. Loss of Night is another one. This is measuring light pollution here in the United States. You count the stars based on what you can see from the constellations. I think this can be kind of hard in Nebraska because sometimes we have a lot of cloud cover. And it's going to be different in eastern Nebraska versus western Nebraska based on the cities that we have and versus the country. But I think this was a very fun one to introduce to kids just to kind of see the differences that we have. And then I See Change. This is a fun one too. This is a journaling app that you can journal when you have weather events and climate events in your area. So this is a different kind of app. I definitely want you guys to check this out. This handles everything from snow and ice. This links NASA and links up to the satellites. So definitely a fun one to kind of check out. So do you need a specific app? Not really. You know, iNaturalists will cover you. There's Ebird will cover you. But if you're looking at looking at specific animals, like if you do want to do a spider one, you know, you might want to check out and see if that spider app is something you want to look into. There's lots more apps out there. SciStarter, Google Play, Apple stores. You can go in them and you know, put in your keywords and they'll come up with lots of apps. Be careful of the megabytes and gigabytes and everything that you need on those phones. Sometimes they can be overloading and overtaxing on your phones. So questions. I know I covered a lot of area there, but I hope that I introduced you to some very new apps out there that could get you in some conservation programs that you have out there. I know I'm excited. Like I said, I went out there and downloaded a whole bunch of apps onto my phone to introduce to my environmental education programs.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Pam. I'm going to stop